Thank you. All right, I'd like to go ahead and call the Tuesday, August 1st, 2017 Warrenton Board of Aldermen meeting to session. If you would please rise with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Next item would be the consent agenda.
We have the regular and executive meeting minutes from July 18th, 2017, and approval of the caterer liquor license for Ron's Restaurant and Downtown Pub and Grill for Fall Fest 2017.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
1 second. Motion made by Alderman Shell Harvey, seconded by Alderman Costello. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman John Miller is absent. Alderman Schultz is absent. Alderman Shell Harvey.
Yes.
Alderman Costello.
Yes.
Alderman Ock.
Yes.
Alderman Gary Miller.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0 with 2 absent. Next will be hearing from the public. If you have anything you'd like to come and express to us or say, good or bad, please come to the podium, state your name, state what your business is, and we'll give you 5 minutes to speak about it.
I'd like to say something.
If you would come to the podium, please. Reason why is we're on a video and people want to see who you are and they can hear who you are.
My name is John Gregory, and I've lived in the city of Warrenton for almost 18 years. And some might know what I'm going to talk about, and if you don't want me to, I'll go sit down. The reason why I'm here is because I just want to know why that the city of Warrenton is building a dog park before they are a swimming pool for the kids, when the way it's gotten in this town that the dogs have more rights than my grandkids. And I'm tired of the way that people do with their dogs and nothing's done about it. If you say something, they're all mad.
I do understand that point. Well, in actuality, I don't know that one's going to be built before the other one. We're working on the park collectively, and that's why the bond issue is coming up for the pool currently, to enhance the bonds that we're seeking for the water park, or I guess I should say aquatic center. It was brought up in the past and voiced by other people as well in the past that they've wanted a dog park, a place to be able to go. So, listening to both sides, we tried to meet an even keel, but we also added other amenities for children in the aquatic center. That's why it's a zero entry. I don't know if you've seen it or not. I'd love for you to see it if you haven't. But we're adding a zero entry area where the kids can come in and play, and grandparents did vocalize that they want to be able to take their grandkids to a pool where it's kid friendly, as well as something they can go work out in as well. And I think we met that with what we have so far. We do have some laws stipulated in ordinance about dogs. It's not always the easiest to enforce, especially when people don't want to have their name drugged through, or be it for exactly what you said, because they get chewed out or blessed out for something. But it's also hard for prosecution on that if someone is not willing to put their name down, because we, as a law enforcement, the police officer may not witness what happened, and that can get kind of messy in court as well. But I do know that we do enforce it. We have enforced it and issued tickets out for dogs at large, or what be it. But it may not always appear that way. But I can assure you that it is done.
John, are you specifically
concerned about people not cleaning up after their dogs when they take them for a walk? Is that?
Yes, or when they live in, for instance, the subdivision that I do, and they get up early of a morning, the parents do, and turn them loose for them to do their business. And then the kids have got to get them in before school starts, and they have trouble getting them back in and stuff. I don't care if the dogs run through my yard or whatever, but the problem is they can't take their stuff with them. And it's getting old. I've put up with this for right at 18 years, and
Well, unfortunately, in my opinion, I don't think it's the animals, it's the owners.
right.
And I have, you know where I live, which is right next to the Schongert property, and we have a significant amount of people who walk their dogs, including Alderman Chilharvey's wife. And there are people like Nancy who are very diligent about
Taking them with them.
caring for their dog and making sure they pick up after them.
I do too. Greg, we can walk.
I don't know. I never want to say, I never see you walk. But I've got other neighbors, Keith Swab and Debbie Swab, and they're just absolutely spotless in the way that they go about it. I've got another neighbor that's a couple doors down, and he never walks his dog. Unfortunately, doesn't pay any attention to the dog. I like the dog. I don't like the owner very well. So I'm not sure we'll ever be in a situation where we'll perfect any more than people that should have children and not have children. I question, and I wasn't here when the decision was made to build the dog park. Was that part of it? Was to give people a place to take their animals when they wouldn't have to walk them on private property or other people's property?
I think it was an opportunity for people who have dogs to take them out someplace where they could run off of a leash and be in a controlled area. I mean, I don't know what people are conceiving this dog park to be, air conditioned and all that. It's simply going to be an area that's fenced in. And so the person can take their dog off of a leash and let it run. And that's really the whole conceptual idea. It's nothing fancy and elaborate and expensive. It's simply probably a chain link fence going around a certain area, and that's all it is.
Is it going to cost $75,000?
When we threw that in the budget, we were throwing numbers in the budget. We have no conceptual idea of what it would turn out, just like we didn't have a conceptual idea of what the pool would cost, what the purchase of the land would cost. We just threw a number out. It's not going to cost I think it was $75,000 or $72,000. It's probably going to simply be a chain link fence around a certain area. We might have a watering station there for people and for dogs, so you could do that. But I can't envision anywhere near $75,000.
Well, in the budget, it was combined both the dog park and the walking trail and frisbee golf
Okay.
into one line item. So it wasn't the whole
So that's why it's
75
a combined thing.
for just the dog park. It was a combination of the
If you
two.
don't mind, let me go ahead and get back to one thing you did say. Exactly what you expressed is illegal in our city. It's against the ordinance. It's to just let a dog loose, going into other people's properties and doing, but there, we have leash laws. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief.
No, we do.
so-
Animal control works hard at that.
With that being said, I mean, we can't be everywhere at once,
Right.
but it is illegal. So if you're seeing something that's that way, I know we don't always want to put our name with it. At least call and advise there's an area that maybe they can do a little more extra patrol to see if there is something loose, and the animal control can go out there and watch. They're diligent about their jobs, I can guarantee you that.
But a dog park isn't going to solve the problem of the people that do what I said.
No, you're right.
No,
You're
it's
right.
not. It's not.
Those people, their kids aren't going to learn to take care of the dogs either.
And unfortunately, I can't force someone to raise their kids a certain way, but we can issue citations for anything that's violating city ordinance. And they can, sometimes the unfortunate way to get people's attention is hit them in their pocketbook. When they start understanding that, then they start grabbing a hold of things a little more.
I know, John, and I do understand your frustration with that. You know, we all have our pet peeves. One of my even larger pet peeves is people that throw trash out.
Yes.
And, yeah, I mean, I pick trash up almost every day. And when I'm picking it up, I'm thinking, who is it that thinks it's okay to do that? And who is it that's either teaching the children that that's okay, or the children are seeing them do that? And who do they think's going to pick it up? And I'm sure Brad and the maintenance crew do this day in and day out. So I understand your frustration. I'm not sure, as the mayor said, you know, we're ever going to fix everything society does that's crazy. But I will say, in the cases I've seen, I like the animals for the most part. I really have some concern about some of the owners, whether they should even own an animal. But
I think, as the mayor said, if you hit them in the pocketbook and the animal control will respond, that might get their attention.
But it does require you or any citizen who has these issues to make the phone calls. Because if the phone calls are made for whatever reason, we can't respond. I mean, I have a neighbor behind me who has a lot of problems with the people living next door. And she's brave enough to harass the police and call them, because every time she comes over to me and says, well, you know, I got this problem, what are you going to do about it? I say, pick up the phone and call the police, and the police respond. You know, and if you do that enough time, then some behaviors start changing. And that's really what it takes, but it requires the person to say, I believe in this strong enough, I'm willing to pick up the phone, call the police, or call animal patrol. And that's what it's really going to take to stop some of the behaviors, because I've seen it change behind our neighborhood just because one lady who's in her 70s is willing to call up the police and say, these kids are out here in my yard hassling me, and the police respond. And that's what it takes, a citizen brave enough to stand up and do it.
we have the same frustrations you do, or I do. I can tell you that.
Can I make one comment about what you said about the litter?
Yes.
Okay, in my pocket, I've got a short video on litter. The St. Louis News on Channel 4 reported the other morning about North or South Dakota, about the litter and stuff, and they've raised their litter law up to $500. Because of all the cigarette butts and everything, and they had the statistics on there and everything.
Well, I'm probably the one most responsible for asking that the city put up trash cans every so often on some of the new sidewalks, and that was, I guess it was a little selfish. When I'm walking, I don't mind picking it up. I don't like it, but I'll pick it up as long as I don't have to travel too far to get rid of it.
And there are people who respond to what they see. On the walk bridge, there's always stuff going on. The other day, some kids or some adult, I have no idea who it was, I shouldn't blame the kids, but broke a glass jar, and it was all over the walk bridge. Well, one of the neighbors went home, got their broom, and swept it up, because they care about their community.
Yep.
And we need to care about our community.
And you do, and I'm glad you're here. Very good.
Well, and I live on a lake, and I think that the city or somebody ought to have a course or something on teaching people how to live around a lake instead of throwing everything they don't want in the street.
Makes you think our society's going the wrong direction, doesn't it?
Yeah, just to add what Greg said about we put the trash cans out. Nancy and I used to walk, we'd walk down Market, and you know there's a couple trash cans down there. And Fred will vouch for this probably, but one night we were walking down there, and there was a bag of McDonald's or Burger King trash in there, and it wasn't 10 feet from the garbage, from the can.
Well, as I said, my request was a little bit selfish, Mike. I wanted to have some place to put it after I picked it up. I had to carry it.
Well, we just
But they
had
dropped it, you know, how much effort would it have taken to walk a few more steps and put it in trash?
And they probably threw it out of their car.
Well, I mean, we just had trash cans put by the walk bridge, and trash cans have trash in them, but there's also a lot of people who still throw it on the ground. What are you gonna do?
So I'm sorry for taking up.
No, I was gonna say,
something like this.
Thank you for putting it in.
Like they
Thank
see
you
it.
for your courage to come up and put a face to it.
Come on. Let me tell you something. I did have that dog problem.
Hey, we know who you are, but.
The public doesn't know who you are.
They know who I am.
No, they don't.
I'm Fred Perkins.
There you go.
All right.
You know, that trash you picked up with my tools, you know. But, that gentleman there, I called my councilman first, and he took action, the mayor cheered me on, and every one of them went out of their way to help and stopped it. It's completely gone now, and I do appreciate everybody had a hand in it, but they'll give you a packet for you to sign that you'll press charges. So if you got any information about who done it, they'll let them clean it up. That's what I say, thanks.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And definitely, before you leave, or, even tomorrow, please come in and talk about the area, and we'll have our law enforcement and our animal control take a look at it. So, I appreciate it. Any other comments? Fred, is that your comment? All right, Board of Alderman comments.
I got, and this kind of goes in line with John, but I've had a couple of people ask me with regards to the dog park, and I know one of them said they wouldn't probably take their dog to the dog park for fear of other animals. And they brought up the question, has the city set up to where we're not going to be liable
Yes.
for anything like a dog, another dog getting another one or something like that? So that was the only question they brought it up, and I said, I honestly don't know, so.
Yeah, I think, if you don't mind me answering, I think when we budgeted for it and it was brought up and we incorporated with it, we also had legal counsel get a hold of some cities to see what their rules and what liabilities they hold and don't hold and postings. And is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, it was when the concept of dog park came up, I assumed all dog parks were private because I was like, there's no way a city's going to get into the business of it. And then consistently discussing it, we figured out that there's, essentially it's like a playground. You assume the risk when you go in there. We'll have rules posted. We'll have very specific instructions similar to what other cities have that have dog parks. And quite honestly, they've been really successful in their application in the different municipalities that have dog parks. So, the data definitely supports, that it'll be used.
That pretty much answers it.
That's I can take an answer back to those people.
Well, I don't know, are you gonna talk about the vote on next Tuesday, the ballot?
I did a KWRE one, but I was going to hit that in a minute.
Well, yeah, why don't you hit that, because if there's people listening right after the meeting, and I think people need to understand, this is all about financing.
It is.
It's all about saving the taxpayers' money, so.
And it's, like I said before, previously, we were talking about the aquatic center. It's enhancing what we're able to do with the financing to provide more or better amenities to the public. Just giving back, really. If we want to get technical in it, I didn't bring the pamphlet with me, but I would let someone else get totally technical with it because I don't think I'll be the best versed to do that. I'd rather break it down in layman's terms to tell you get more bang for the buck is basically it. You want to explain more, you can.
Really, the bottom line is, it is a less expensive way to finance. It's a lower interest rate with more available funds and lower financing costs.
Can you tell us, not a percentage, what kind of savings it is to the city and the taxpayer by, if this measure is approved versus if you funded it on work?
I couldn't give you specific percentages because it will depend on where the market is at the time we actually do it. But typically you'll save anywhere from 1% to 2% in your financing, in your interest rate. And in addition, there is no reserve fund with this type of financing. So where with a lease purchase type financing, you might have to have a few $100,000 set aside in a reserve fund that's then not available to use for improvements. With the bond financing, there is no reserve. So all of the funds that are a result of the loan are available for construction on the project.
So if you take $5 million loan, 1% of that, it's a big number. A very big number.
What it does is we only have a certain amount of money that's available to pay the debt service from the capital sales tax fund. So by having a lower interest rate, it makes a lower annual payment, which lets you finance a higher amount of money to be able to use for your project.
But even if you don't finance a higher amount of project, it still gives you some margin to spend money in other areas where you're supporting the parks
Right.
system. So if if the gap between the payment and what comes in through revenue is 50,000 or let's like 20,000 a year, we don't want to do more on the park side. That 50,000 is available maybe to do something at the ballpark or
Right.
do something at the other courts or other parks in town. So it gives us more flexibility in terms of
Yes.
how we provide those type of services to people in the community.
That's correct.
Well, we already got that. Because if anybody's gonna repeat it, Gary is.
Well, I was going to tell people how to vote, but I can't do that. Can I tell them how I'm going to vote?
Any other comments?
Everyone else is, the rest of the board is finished. I'd like to, actually, this is only this third meeting here, but I'd like to bring up an issue that's near and dear to my heart. I don't think anyone here would be surprised to know that I'm quite involved in the Tribute to Veterans Memorial that we're building just west of Denny's. And the city has been incredible, both from the maintenance department, the public works, everyone along the line. Terry's been great to work with, and her contact has been with Wendell Webb, who most of you have met. Project is really moving actually better than we thought. The excavation work went quicker than we thought it would, and as of last Thursday evening, the building committee voted to proceed with excavation on the parking lots this year. I know they've been in touch with Terry in regard to timing of when Public Works would have time and availability to finish the storm sewer laterals. But we'll be taking another 18 inches off of the parking lot area sometime the last week in August through September, weather permitting. And then, as soon as the city's completed with their activities, we'll be putting rock on that, and the parking lots will be there for the winter. And also should be there this fall when the monument itself is delivered and installed. So that brings me to my next part of this, and that is that I would like the Board of Aldermen to consider making a request to the Tourism Commission for $40,000. That $40,000 would represent the final payment on the statuettes. I've got pamphlets here, life-size statuettes done by Bob Doss and his company in Dutso, Missouri. These are actually already built. They're gorgeous if you haven't seen them. The detail work is incredible. You can, on the buttons of the shirts, you can actually see the thread that's threaded through. And I mean, it's just incredible the talent that they have. So what this would represent then is that the statuettes, total price was $62,000. This would, in fact, then make the City of Warrenton through the Tourism Commission totally funding these statuettes, and that would be marked on the site and would be saved there for the rest of the life of the memorial. The reason that I am making this request at this time is that we can we can see the end of this project coming. The funding, we've really been working hard. We did a yard sale in that 105-degree weather 2 Saturdays ago and raised $3,400 in about 7 or 8 hours. But the reason I am bringing this to you now, I was quite surprised when I got back on the board to find the amount of uncommitted funding that is in the tourism account. And I'm told by Terry that that's $188,500. I was here when we put the Tourism Commission together. It was done with the help of Senator Griesheimer. And before that time, the hotel motel tax was not available to cities of our class. And it was my understanding, and those who served with me, and I think Fred was on the board at that time, is we expected that fund to be spent every year. It was the one fund within the city that is revolving, and we thought that it should be spent to encourage tourism. So I was quite surprised that the funds are there and are available. I also cannot think of another type of project that the city could take on that says tourism more than this. If you're driving down the interstate and you see the quality of a facility like we're building, if that doesn't make you pull over and take a look, I don't know what will. So I'd like the board to consider that. If you agree, then I would like to send a request for $40,000 to be considered by the Tourism Commission, and then to send a recommendation back to the school board.
Any questions or comments?
The last meeting, I think, Greg, you asked for 24,000. Now all of a sudden it's 40. So that blows me away anyway. But the one thing you're forgetting about, that the money that's there, since we started putting on this Autumn Fest, whatever you want to call it, we are not getting enough money from the tourism each year, from the tourism dollars, to actually pay for that big of a thing. That's why there's been some money stay in that contingency fund.
So what amount do you spend on Fall Festival every year?
I don't know, what was it? Last year it was 70,
90 plus thousand,
90
roughly.
plus thousand. This year it won't be quite that much, will it? But I know going back before I was on the board, I was on the Tourism Commission. And that was the thing when we started looking at doing these things, not just the first year we did it. We were looking at, okay, down the road.
So Mike, what you're saying to me, and I understand trying to have a reserve, but at the old price that you're saying now has been reduced from 90 down to less than that, you've got 2 years of funding available for that. And, the comments I hear on and I'm not opposed to the Fall Festival. The comments I hear is that how in the world can the city be willing to spend $40,000 on entertainment for 2 or 3 hours and not be willing to help fund a year-round tourism attraction?
Well, we had helped fund it. In fact, I went down the first trip down to the Sculptor. I went down with Rick, Tom Carter, and those guys, and actually looked at the thing and talked the Tourism Commission into doing, what did we do then, 12,000, Terry, was it?
Mm-hmm.
The initial $12,000 to get that ball rolling. So don't think that I'm against, I don't feel like I have to defend myself that I'm against the Veterans Memorial, but I'm not sure. I could see us spending part of it, but I don't know if 40,000 is a
Well, if
figure.
you want to know where the 40,000 came from, these statuettes were $62,000. The city of Warrenton, as I understand it, in rough numbers, funded $10,000 2 years ago, $12,000 last year. So that's $22,000. So the $40,000 simply completes the total package of statuette. What it would do is that would end the funding request from the Tribute to the Veterans Memorial. Our construction period should be totally complete by year-end 2018. So, that's where the 24.5 came from. That was a request that was made earlier this year by Wendell and was turned down. Was there any funding approved this year, Kara?
There was funding for ongoing utilities is included in tourism's budget.
Those haven't started,
Right.
nor has the lawn maintenance or anything like that. And again, don't take me wrong. I think the city has been incredibly supportive, but I guess to me, in my heart, it's a matter of priorities. And I like rock and roll, but I like fireworks.
Well, yeah.
But this is something that honors our veterans. We all know people, of the 72 individuals that are going to be on the back of this wall that have given their life for our country. You know some of those names. You know the Dick Haynes of the world who gave their life during Vietnam. To me, it's just a matter of priorities. And I cannot think of anything that will be more attractive from a tourism point of view and will say more about our community that used to be known for Isabel's, and then it was known for the Outlet Center. And I believe in the future it will be known for a community that's got a fantastic tribute to our veterans.
To probably keep respect for the Tourism Commission, I think maybe the request should be made to them from the Veterans Memorial.
It was.
Well, but I mean this one.
Well, and we're not breaking new ground here. This board has, in the past, made requests to the Tourism Commission directly for funding. More than once. We could have Gabrielle go back and take a look. But I know 2 or 3 times when I served as mayor that we made requests for a specific project.
So I'm looking at I don't have the most current budget, but the budget I was looking at had an annual revenue projection from tourism of $142,000. And an annual expense of $142,000. So could you give us an idea, Mike, of how they spend down? What does that $142,000 in expenditures look like? Because clearly you have more than a year's worth of annual budget. So to Greg's point, if you got 180 in the fund and your annual projected revenue and expenditures are 140, it would seem like you had some cushion to do the request.
Well, let me step in. I appreciate all the comments. I don't think we need to peg one or the other, and I appreciate what you're asking. I don't know that you would have that readily available to say what the breakdown is, and I don't think it's too fair to put that on the spot. I'm open to letting people make comment, but I think we're at a point now where we can go ahead and proceed and ask if the majority of the aldermen are in favor or not in favor to make a recommendation. So let's, to kind of save the back and forth on this, I think the points have been made. Let's go ahead and.
Yeah, I would like the opportunity to get the actual figures of what we're, to answer Gary Alderman Ox's question.
Well, do you recall, Gabrielle, what, I mean, every time we do a monthly financial report, you always have the tourist stuff in there and what goes in and out, but there's no financial report this time because we're at the end of the year. So you recall what it was last time in terms of, because over the course of this project, the tourist tax, we brought in about 1.5 million. So we spent a lot of money, we got a lot of money, we spent a lot of money. And so to me, this is a financial thing that if we come one last time and ask for the surplus over the annual amount, do you have any numbers in front of you, Gabrielle, that would help?
I don't have the June 2017, but the budget is in your Dropbox, the
Right.
2017-2018 budget.
Yeah, I didn't see that in mine, but, so what is it, what is that number?
It shows the contingency amount in, that is budgeted is $253,000.
It's how much?
$253,000.
What did we enter the year in with, as the beginning balance?
That, the estimated ending, that's just the amount spent.
I don't think we have those numbers.
Mm-mm.
Just going back, I mean, what I was trying to get to is we're rolling a certain positive balance forward every year. Because we don't spend it all
That has
out.
changed recently.
Okay,
I will say that, because for a number of years, they were not spending everything that was coming into the fund. That's
Right.
how it built up.
right.
With the onset of the Fall Festival and some of those things that they've added recently, they are now spending everything that basically is coming in. So recently, we're not adding to that reserve.
So the reserve
But
is
it's
where-
been left from prior years that has built up.
So the reserve's 180, rolling forward, and I can't find where exactly this is on my sheet here from the prior budget. But we went into the year with a positive number, and we budgeted the revenue and the expense to be exactly the same, so we're ending the same year. So that's where I was kind of curious as to what the beginning balance was.
I don't think
going
we
into
have
it.
that anymore here.
It's
We
not
can
on the
get that
budget
for you,
sheets?
but I don't think we've got
Okay.
that.
Well, I mean, so that's one way to look at it. And I think, to go to Greg's point, is this isn't an ongoing request for 40, it's a one-time issue for 40. And one thing we talked about is, do we want to, and I think this was coming out of tourism also, was the fireworks coming out of tourism?
That ceased.
That
This was
ceased.
the last year for that.
Okay, so but my point being, if that was the guesstimate part of the 140, we're not doing it.
But that was, some of that funds went to what we do at the athletic center with promotions there. What we were talking, or I shouldn't say we, I'm just a representative on it. They were talking about doing more as far as up and, like the signs that we have on, to support the businesses on their.
Billboards. I think the statute would do more to bring businesses, I'm sorry, I think the statute would bring more to do business, bring businesses and traffic in town than billboards, but that's just, I mean, so it's really the entitlement of that committee to come back to us with their recommendation. So I don't see the harm in going to the committee and saying, this is what we'd like to do. They're a citizen advisory committee, they have a right to approve or disapprove funds, and then we all have oversight. I don't see anything wrong with going to them with the request.
And we can override it if we want to, that's true.
I'd like to make a motion then that we authorize this request, and I'm really not stuck on 40,000. The logic of the 40,000 was that would end the tourism's funding of this particular project. So that's where that number came from. It wasn't just trying to jack up the price. But I'd make a motion that we approach in writing request that the Tourism Commission consider this project in the amount of $40,000.
Second. Third.
Motion made by Alderman Costello to, I guess, request the funding of $40,000 to the Veterans Memorial, tribute to Veterans Memorial, I guess, organization.
Yeah, tribute to the Veterans Memorial.
Or to recommend the funding go through tourism. Seconded by Alderman Gary Miller. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
I'm sorry, who was it that seconded it?
Gary Miller.
Okay. Alderman Costello?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Gary Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
I'm going to vote no because I want to look at the actual finances before we put a hard number on it. And it's not that I'm against the request or anything, but I want to look at the numbers before we put a number on it.
Everyone here's entitled to it.
Thank you.
3 for yes, 1 for no. I believe we proceed forward with it. Thank you, and thank you for the discussion. Probably one of the more lively discussions we've had for a long time, so I appreciate it. Both sides. Any other comments from the Board of Aldermen? Thank you. All right. On to the mayor's comments. First of all, on a different note, I'll say thank you for Alderman Shelby for stepping in for me while I was a little under the weather. And I appreciate that. I know it was quite a lengthy agenda, and you stepped up and did it, and I appreciate it, so thank you.
And just for the alderman on that side of the table, they said I had a hearing problem. Well, yes, I did. The microphones in my hearing aids were on the blitz, and so I got them fixed. So it won't happen again, gentlemen.
We actually discussed that before. A couple things I want to recognize. Something I don't think we've fully come out front to say. Congratulations to Larry Ellard for being our new chief of police.
Thank you.
I do appreciate the dedication you've given throughout the years, and well deserved.
Thank you, sir.
I'd also like to note that we did since I've been up here, I guess my lack of being up here, we've done several ribbon cuttings, and thank you for everyone that's showed up. I've seen more people show up, including myself, on the weekends than we ever have, and I appreciate the time you've taken out from your families to be there, and I'm excited. It's a lot of good business, a lot of nice places to go, and I think I promised that I will go, as much as you may think me, get a facial at the new place, because she said it's for men as well. And I told her I'm not afraid to do that, so I may have to go visit that.
Here.
Does she take the shine, does she take the shine off?
I asked her that. I said, can we make it shiny or maybe even dull it out?
Dull it out.
Blind people. But to move on to appointments, I would like to make appointments for the Board of Adjustment. Jason Cullum, I would like to recommend to fill the appointment of Keith Schwab, who is resigning off the Planning and Zoning Board and was on the Board of Adjustments. And to put Dan Durman as alternate A, Stacy Blondin as alternate B, and Kevin Gerloff as alternate C for a 5-year term. I will be seeking a motion for the mayor's appointment to the Board of Adjustments for a 5-year term.
So moved.
Second.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'll take Alderman Costello as the first motion, and second motion made by Alderman Shell Harvey. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Gary Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Costello?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent. Next item will be the approval of a original package liquor license for Express Liquor and Smokeless 15, or Smokes 15, I'm sorry, not Smokeless, but Smokes 15, located at 623 East Veterans Memorial Parkway. I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Shelby, seconded by Alderman Costello. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Gary Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Costello?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent. Next thing on the agenda will be the Jordan's Place Service Agreement. I believe Councilor Graville, are you going to be advising us on that?
So, we put together an agreement with regards to Jordan's Place, kind of based on the Agape agreement, although it's a little bit different in just having a very solid understanding of what type of services they're going to be offering specifically to the community, because Agape is so well defined and it's such an institution here. So we took that original service agreement and we kind of just laid out for you guys the purpose of the public purpose of what this money is going to go to, and then some of the restrictions on that money, what it's intended for, which is essentially it's not for us to pay the rent, but for them to get essentially a voucher for the rent to be paid. I know that seems a little bit of an intricacy there, but I want to make sure that nobody can accuse us of having a lease or renting a property up there in case something happens. And then just the requirements of, you guys have typically always required some type of basic audit requirement from any of the non-for-profits when you guys have given them money, and, just letting them know that they have to provide something to show that the money went for a public purpose and went where it was supposed to go. So, I don't know what questions you guys have or whatnot. I don't know that we've gotten any feedback from Jordan's Place on it, but I don't know that they would necessarily have any feedback but it is essentially a service agreement like we have with Agape and other non-for-profits.
And I think for the public, the service agreement, and I think it states it very well, whereas illegal drug use among teenagers in Warrenton is a record high and has resulted in overdose deaths of Warrenton youth, and whereas the Board of Aldermen and the Mayor of the City of Warrenton believe Jordan's Place provides a safe haven and a positive alternative for teens in Warrenton that is in the best interest of public health and the welfare of the citizens of Warrenton. I think that says it all, because I think that when they came to us, I mean, we all read the police reports, and as the officers are getting more and more trained on vehicle stops to look for illegal drugs and all that, we see what goes on in the community among youth. We see people reporting needles in the community and all this stuff. I think this is an alternative to at least start approaching an issue that's very real in the community. And we did tell them that this is a one-year service agreement, and if they come back for a second-year service agreement, we certainly indicated strongly to them we desired, first of all, them to find an alternative location that wouldn't be as expensive for them, and that was part of what we are approving to do. And when I talked to these people, I said, you can't come in and expect next year to be 20. If you come in, it's going to be substantially less. So this is kind of like a one-year shot to get this thing going, and hopefully they can get on their feet and running. So that was the thinking about the service agreement on Jordan's.
Yeah, I just want to make a self-interested plug here real quick. Anybody in the public that has an interest in seeing what Jordan's Place does, you go attend one of their Save Victim Impact panels. You get a real chance to hear people talk, and it's something that's unique. Nobody else is doing it in the region. I've not seen it in any other criminal justice department. The state prosecutor's office makes it part of their recommendations. We make it part of our recommendations. We piloted that program here where they basically bring in a group of people, a mother, a brother, a grandmother, whose lives have been impacted, and they've got these like resources that have joined up with Jordan's Place, whose lives have been impacted by heroin. And I just think the concept is so unbelievable, because one of the things they're trying to do is maybe a kid out here will listen to a mom when he won't listen to his dad if he's living with a single dad. Or maybe he'll listen to a father or a brother or whatnot to try to give different perspectives. So it's not just the services and the facilities that they offer. They really are trying to do things in the community to have an impact and integrate into some of the things that we have here, like our municipal court. Anybody that gets a drug charge in Warrenton has to go through that program. And I think it's had a really positive impact, and it's really a great program, and I encourage anybody in the community to go see it.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because when they came with their request, to me, that was the selling point. I mean, they have a creative program here that's working with the courts. It's a prototype that other court systems are looking at. What are you doing? How are you doing it? So they're on the right track and working with the courts. And sometimes you look at Jordan's Place, you say, well, it's just a place for kids to hang out and play pool. Now that's part of it, but their service work with the courts is phenomenal. And I think that's why, as an alderman who brought this up, I feel like it's important that we support this.
Well, and let's also, I mean, there's numerous things, but let's also add the tutoring where some kids can't get it at home, won't get it at home. I've gone in there. I've sat with them. I wanted to know what they did.
Right.
I sat through the panel, the first one they had. It was amazing. Breaks you down. I don't care how hard you are when you hear the things that happen and the people that say what they need to say. And it's not forced. A lot of those people, they want to share. They're at a closure point in their life, and they want to share it, and they need to. But there's also other people that need to hear it, so it impacts their lives.
It definitely, you walk out of that presentation, and it's just raw, pure emotion. But it also makes you feel like, wow, this can happen to someone in my family. It's not, an issue with poverty or whatnot. It basically can go through all levels of income, and I think that's one of the things they do that is just, I think it's an amazing thing, and it's really taken off.
I had two
All right.
questions. Go ahead.
I had a couple of concerns that I was thinking about today. As aldermen, we have the fiduciary responsibility to have the money available from taxpayers, typically mostly for infrastructure, maintenance and new infrastructure, water department, sewer department,
streets, police department, all of that. I, for one, am concerned that our board is, where does this end? I'm not saying they don't do a great job, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to wrestle with the fiduciary responsibility we have versus the social issues that come up. That how do we know they're going to make it through the year? What their operating structure going to be if we give that amount of money? Do they have other sources of revenue coming in? I'd hate to spend 20 grand and have it go down the tubes.
Well, but that's why we structured this in a different way, to address that specific concern, because they're going to turn in utility vouchers as we go along. We're not handing them a check up front for 20,000 saying, here.
I know that,
2 months later,
Gary.
they blow it. So we put those safeguards in. As it relates to the problem, your concern about city dealing with social issues, you can look at every large city spends a lot of money on social issues because it's beneficial for the welfare, like here it says, for the welfare and the public health of the community. I mean, I would think before Agape came along, if an officer, somebody would walk in the police station and say, well, what do I do? That officer has to have a resource to point somebody to. This is also like a resource that I think would help policing in some way, because if some of these kids don't fall into problems, it's just less work that our detectives are doing. And I think that's the perspective we have to have. It's part of the growing nature of what a community is in the times we live in.
I appreciate your comments, but I would respectfully disagree with some of that. No one other than the one lady that was here the one time has come back to talk to us about their operating procedures and what they project for the rest of the year and the funding, where it's going to come from, that sort of thing. We've had no contact from them here at the board meeting.
They gave us a budget, and it was reviewed by staff. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we don't have Agape coming in 3 or 4 times a year to justify their position.
That's a total separate issue, Gary. This is Jordan's place we're talking about.
Well, and they provide. We asked
If
them
they
to provide a
want
budget.
money from us, they need to come talk to us.
Well, they did.
One time.
Well,
And everybody's entitled to their opinion on this. So we don't, I mean, I get where you guys are going back and forth, but everybody's entitled to their opinion to go ahead and state their opinion as well on this board.
I wanted to ask, and again, I'm new to this, what is Jordan's Place total budget, annual budget, that they presented? Do you know?
I'd have to relook it up.
it was 6 figures, but I don't remember.
Well, they originally requested, what was it, 35,000 from us.
I wanna
They had a
say
budget
we-
shortfall.
33.
35,000 was their budget
33.
shortfall, as I remember, 30-something thousand.
30-something was their budget shortfall. I don't remember what their total.
I think it
budget
was
was.
33.
So I've heard a couple numbers, and one of those was that their total budget was in the 30-some thousand range, and
No, that was
the
the
city
short-
was
That was a
funding.
short-
You're saying it's a
It's
shortfall.
a shortfall.
Yes.
That's a significant
Yeah.
difference.
Right.
So, because I think we run the risk, if we are going to fund a majority of their budget, then it's a city function. I mean, if that other number was true, but you're suggesting that their total budget is 6.
Over that.
It was over. That was the shortfall in the
Okay.
budget. Do you remember, Gabrielle, or you looked at it?
I would have to look, because I really don't remember, but I do remember that rent was the biggest line item in their budget.
Right.
And then the second question I have, and this goes directly to our new chief of police, and we ask these questions when we funded Turning Point, when we contracted with Turning Point. We ask it, as Alderman Ock said, when we funded Agape, and we ask it when we funded the senior center. And those are the 3 major organizations that the city has contracted with, unless you've done more since I've been here. So my question to you, Chief, is, in your mind, what does Jordan's Place do for you in working with you? Because my concern is, as I'm sure the rest of the board, that this heroin epidemic is killing our young, and it crosses all socio-economic lines, and drugs in general, I think, are just infesting our community. So tell me what you think.
I can certainly mirror what Mr. Graville said as far as victim impact and, you know, everything that he just said. As far as being able to quantify how many kids are not doing drugs because they're taking advantage of Jordan's Place, I couldn't actually put a number on it. I do know when I go by there and I see that the place is full of kids, I know those kids are there and they're not out doing anything else. I can certainly look into it a little bit more if you want me to be able to try to put a number on it to see.
No, I don't think you're the one that has to do, should do that. I do agree with something that Alderman Miller said, and that is, and it probably wouldn't happen until after this first year, but we get reports from Agape, how many citizens of the city of Warrenton they estimate they've helped. We get reports from Turning Point. So I would expect those reports should be submitted after we go through that, if the board votes to fund this, that we go through that. But I just want your perspective, so you look at this as something that would help your men in dealing, your force in dealing with juvenile issues and drugs in the community.
Yes, I do.
I think they, and Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that night they were here and presented, they gave us some numbers on people that were actually using.
Yeah, they did. I don't recall what those numbers were.
Yeah, I don't recall,
I
but
mean,
they.
and that should be part of any reporting function when they come back, is to, I mean, you want to know they spent your money wisely, but you also want to know what their outcomes are. You know,
Right.
what the success was as it relates to their program. So that's going to be a part of when they come back, and I assume they're going to come back on an annual basis. That has to be part of it. And if we sit here and we don't feel like it's having a significant impact, or Chief isn't saying it doesn't have a significant impact, then I think we have to consider making a different decision.
Or if they don't find another location that's less expensive,
Then,
or other additional funding.
absolutely, that's part of it. I think that's one of the challenges we gave them, is we're not going to underwrite this property, this helping you with this downtown property, because we all know is that if downtown grows, rents are just going to go up.
Oh,
And they're in a situation where, you know, as the downtown area grows and we make projects, the cost of the rent is going to go up. And so they have to find some kind of alternative. I don't know if they will, but that's part of what they were charged with doing. And it's a consideration when they come back.
Would it make everyone more comfortable if we would ask them some of these questions and have them prepare something and bring it maybe to the next meeting? What is their total budget? How many people did they serve? I mean, are those things that would make you more comfortable if we would have something put together?
I'll step in and say, I think they already brought that, and it should have been, it should be included in minutes or what be it of that meeting. I know they brought their budget and breakdowns on that, because I remember seeing it. I also had them, you know, when they came up and spoke, and I know you're at a disadvantage, Alderman Costello, because you weren't here, but they did present numbers like what both Alderman Shelby and Alderman Alcott said about the amount of users that they believe are within, or the statistics of calls that they've seen throughout the county. I also, so I don't know that would be totally necessary. I think we could probably ask them to give that information back to us if we want to, and disseminate it through email. But I know this is also on the bills, or part of the bills.
Well, and I'm not opposed to delaying the vote if we need to find that information out. I don't want to delay the vote if the position is, well, we shouldn't be doing social service stuff as part of the city budget because we should be building bridges and streets. I totally disagree with that concept, and I want to vote on it. But if it's to get clarification as to exactly what that is, because you weren't here and available, then, and you feel that would give you a certain sense of comfort. I don't have any problem delaying it from a meeting. but the
I
philosophical.
don't need cover, I just needed,
No, I need comfort.
oh, comfort.
Yeah, comfort.
I needed cover, it was a long time ago.
As your blood circulates.
So I guess at this point,
This is easy.
are we comfortable proceeding for the bills to ordinance, or do we want to go ahead and postpone it?
I'm comfortable proceeding myself.
I think we need to postpone it until the rest of our aldermen are here and vote next month,
How do you feel about it?
or next meeting.
I'm ready to go to build the ordinance,
To proceed?
because yeah.
You're the hinge.
If they, it's.
Excuse me?
You're the hinge. How do you feel?
But I feel very strongly that we need to.
He's
do
at a
something.
disadvantage because he wasn't.
All right. I'd like to see, I'm more comfortable now than I was, because I was of the understanding that the 20,000 was out of a total of 35, 32 or 35,000. So I'm more comfortable that they've got a opportunity to survive. I don't think I felt that before. But again, I didn't have a lot of information, but,
Well, let me,
I'm here, I'll vote. I can tell you that.
so that you're throwing it back in the mayor's lap.
Well, you can,
No, I mean, it's-
or we can wait till the rest of the board. I think it's.
Why don't we go ahead and no offense, Gary, but let's postpone it
That's fine.
for the second meeting. And that way we have two other aldermen here that can join in the conversation, since it seems like to be.
And I would, I don't,
We can get information.
I knew who I think started Jordan's Place. Was it Jenny?
Who's Kelly?
Kelly started it, but I think primarily it's run by Kathy Pritchard.
Okay.
She's the head of the board. Well, no, actually, she's no longer the head. The gentleman who's the head of the board was here.
Chris,
Petros.
Petros.
I mean, I think it would be great if in addition, they would come and those of us that need to get caught up to speed could ask some questions.
Denise, let's go ahead and take it off the agenda for tonight for the bills to ordinance, and we will get the information. Please note to get the information that's needed. Call the alderman, but to review as well, but especially Alderman Costello.
And I'll gather what we had from their packet and get that out so that all of you can refresh your memory and
Thank you.
have those numbers, make you more comfortable with it.
All right. Moving on to the approval for multiple road closures on September 23rd, 2017 for Fall Festival at 6 a.m. to midnight. I'll entertain a motion for those if you have them listed or any questions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Costello, seconded by Alderman Gary Miller. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Gary Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey,
Yes.
Alderman Costello,
Yes.
Alderman Ock.
Yes.
And before we move on from that issue, I presume that's for the Fall Festival, I had a request from Michelle as to whether they wanted the parking lot behind Youth in Need, which I own, closed off, not allowing anybody to park there. I have no opposition whatsoever to leaving that open and providing additional parking for the event. We need all the parking we can get, so you want to pass that on. Youth in Need is closing down that facility, so they won't be there by then, so it's not an issue of getting approval from them or anything.
Okay, I will let her know.
You'd make note of
And
that.
then the
Well, motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent. Next on the agenda, we'll be hearing from our zoning officer and building commissioner, Jack Campbell.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. At the July 18th, 2017 Board of Aldermen meeting, the Ruther subdivision plat was presented to you for approval, and the request was made that the applicant either pay into the sidewalk fund or install the sidewalks along Lot 1, and that they revise the plat to include the specific wording that the 20-foot wide sidewalk easement goes continuous all along where it adjoins Highway 47. The plat has been changed, and I received documentation from the applicants that they would like to install the sidewalk themselves, and they would have it installed within 90 days of the board approving the plat.
Obviously, you're pretty comfortable with that.
That's exactly what you asked for.
It is. I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable with it.
Yes, sir.
Jack, we always kind of throw it back on you, but we rely on you and believe, you have the best interests of our city at heart, so.
Yeah, that's council. On the bill, is there that language in there that says 90 day afterwards?
We have that in there, don't we, Jack?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, I just don't remember reading it.
Let me double check that.
And there again, it will be in the bills of ordinance later on in the meeting. Any other questions on that? Was that?
Yes, it's in there.
Okay,
Just making sure.
Yes, it specifically says it in section 1.
Yes, it's in there.
Anything else, Jack?
That's it, sir.
I appreciate that. Moving on to our Director of Operations and Finance Officer, Terry Thorne.
The only thing I have for you this evening is under operational updates, and it's in regard to the bids that were previously approved for the Walton House across the street, and Brandy's going to address that.
So we had approved the bids for Kelly Construction at the last meeting, and unfortunately, they were unable to get a performance bond. Therefore, we would like to go with the second bidder, the next bidder, which is Westward Home Builders. I have talked to them already. They don't seem to have an issue with getting a performance bond. Seems like everything will be okay.
And you need a motion on that, correct? All right. Any questions in regards to that? All right. Entertain a motion to proceed with Westward Home Builders in Wentzville, Missouri for the demolition of the 204 West Walton in the amount of $7,600, which would be the second lowest bid, but due to a issue, I guess would you say it was a bonding issue?
Performance bond.
Performance
Mhm.
bonding issue. We are going with the second, or proposed to go with the second lowest bidder, which would be Westward Home Builders in Wentzville, Missouri. So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Shell Harvey, seconded by Alderman Costello. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Costello.
Yes.
Alderman Ock.
yes.
Alderman Gary Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent.
That's all?
That's
Thank
it?
you. That's
That
it.
was short and sweet. Next, we'll hear from our Assistant Director of Operations, Brandy Walton.
The first thing I have on there is the monthly marketing and business support report for the month. As the mayor said earlier, we had 4 ribbon cuttings this month, in the month of July. With the newest one being Celeste Beauty Bar right here on Main Street.
The Beauty Bar, thank you. I almost forgot that's what it was. And, we had, and I'm gonna botch all the names. The Banquet Center, we had the Jewelry Shop, and we had Lamoka's
La Mocha.
Mexican Restaurant.
Yes.
That was excellent. All friendly people. Recommend going and checking them out. Blessed to have them here. Good. Anything else?
That's all I have for that one.
That was easy.
Yes. The second one I have is the monthly admin report. As you can see, we're still at 0 accidents, which is great news.
Excellent.
And we have done quite a few interviews in the month of July. So we've actually hired 1 officer, and we are currently working on some folks in the building department and some more officers. And we also had 3 tournaments.
3 tournaments. I like hearing that. Do you know what the numbers were? Not numbers, but how many teams were involved in each? Not
They
precisely.
roughly range. Some of them, they bring about 20 to 24, where then we have other ones that bring about 35 to 40.
Do you know any of the 3 just roundabouts? They were above or below?
They were all averaged about 30,
Nice.
I would say.
Nice. Thank you. Good. Love hearing that.
And the tournaments are primarily baseball?
Yes, they're mostly baseball. They do have some softball, but most of the time it's baseball.
The board probably needs to be aware, soccer obviously is becoming a major sport, particularly in the younger ages. And parents that are concerned about injuries in football. there is a very nice facility going in at Wing Haven. It's well underway, the construction of it. At Wing Haven Boulevard and I-64, it's the southwest corner. Going to be a hotel with it. City of O'Fallon is involved in it. I think there were some tax credits made available. And I think has Chesterfield Valley raising some eyebrows. That's been a hotbed of soccer, as you well know, Chris. But these sporting events and the tournaments are pretty big bucks coming into the communities. I'm not sure we can compete with that because it takes some pretty nice facilities. I think these are getting synthetic turf application. It appeared, at least from the highway, that that's a new source of revenue for tourism.
I was to say I know, like I said, there in the past, I've gone up there, not during so much when my kids are playing, but when baseball tournaments are going on, which none of my children play baseball, and asked just arbitrarily, what do you think of our facility? And explained who I was, and surprisingly enough, almost every one of them rated us in the top 10 in the area. And I say the area, the metro area, even Columbia.
I mean, I'm not surprised at all.
For our baseball.
But I think we've always had a nice facility there. The improvement, I had nothing to do with the road improvement, but
Nor did I.
You guys that were here, that's what made that facility. I agree. The ability to get to it.
Not getting alignment every time.
You've not changed your position on that ever. So you're consistent.
I hope that's $1 million drive, because that's what it costs.
But it is a nice facility.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you, Brandy. Next, we'll hear from our finance manager, Gabrielle Curry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The first item I have is the accounts payable list for the June invoices. We did one. These are the remaining ones that didn't get on that last list. So the amount is $249,583.81.
Does anybody have any questions on those? Nope. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable for June 2017 in the amount of $249,583.81.
So moved.
Second.
There's no tri-county in there.
Thank you.
What's
No-
that?
No
There's no
tri-county
tri-county
bills on
over
it.
there that I saw.
No.
No, there's not. I looked for it, I didn't see it.
None?
None.
All right. Motion is made by Alderman Gary Miller, seconded by Alderman Shell Harvey. If I could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Gary Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Costello?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0 with 2 absent.
And the next one is the accounts payable listing for July in the amount of,
I'll make a motion we approve.
Oh, I gotta get the amount, 'cause I don't-
Oh, you gotta get the amount.
$335,180.94.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, say it again?
$335,180.94.
94
I think
cents?
it's $355.
So 335 or 355?
It's $335.
I can't bring it up on mine, so I can't see the
It's
exact number.
$335,180.
Okay, excellent. All right, if there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable for July 2017 in the amount of $335,180.94.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Costello, seconded by Alderman Ock. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Gary Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Costello?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0 with 2 absent.
The next item I have is the financial report for June,
Thank you.
which we're going to be doing the accruals and everything, so it's not a complete report. The sales tax listed on here is down for the year 5%, which that will be adjusted once we get the last 2 months in there, but that's what it's sitting at right now. Also in the report is some capital items that were completed in the month of June. one being the Hickory Lick Road replacement was completed. The I-70 Steinhagen boring for the water mains was done, and the I-70 Market Street boring was completed as well. And then there were several roads, asphalt grinding and paving that was completed in that month. So,
Any questions?
Nope.
All right. Thank you.
then my last item is the fuel bid, which will be, it's bid annually. So the recommendation is to accept the bid from Thales for the unleaded fuel, and then Warrenton Oil for the diesel, which gets delivered to the different locations.
Who was the first one?
Thales?
Taylor.
Thales? Oh,
Taylor Oil.
okay, Thales.
Taylor. Any questions?
Make a motion to accept the recommendation on the fuel bids.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Costello, seconded by Alderman Gary Miller. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Costello?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Gary Miller?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0 with 2 absent.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. So we reached the bills to ordinance.
Motion for the introduction and first reading of bill number 47-17.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Costello, seconded by Alderman Shell Harvey for first reading of bill number 47-17.
An ordinance accepting the plat of the subdivision known as Ruther subdivision by the city of Warrenton, Missouri.
Entertain a motion for the second reading and passage of bill number 47-17.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Shell Harvey, seconded by Alderman Gary Miller.
An ordinance accepting the plat of the subdivision known as Ruther subdivision by the city of Warrenton, Missouri.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Costello?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Gary Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Bill passes 4-0 with 2 absent. The bill number 58-17 has been removed and tabled for now. So we come to the adjournment part of the meeting and close the regular board Alderman meeting. I'll entertain a motion to close the regular board of Alderman meeting for August 1st, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Costello. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Before I officially close it, I will say I appreciate all of the conversation with this board tonight. Probably some of the more interactive meeting we've had. And won't say I'm shocked, but I'm impressed and happy with it. So, thank you. But we will bring the Board of Alderman meeting to a close. Thank you.